If the Huskies want to make a late push at the NCAA tournament, they'll need a huge upset against 13th-ranked Oregon tonight. UW has played itself right out of March Madness in the past 3 weeks, but with a win, the Dogs could have some life. The game tips in 10 minutes. We'll have highlights for you at 11. As for the cross-state rivals, the Cougs looked for their 10th win of the season when they took on Oregon State this afternoon. It was senior day in Corvallis for the Beavers, as you see Gary Payton Jr. there with his family. Wazoo got out of the gate early as Charles Callison put the Cougs up 2 with this jumper in what would be a low-scoring game. Then business picked up, back-to-back possessions where the Cougs threw the ball away. Gary Payton Jr. gets the outlet pass and slams down just a left-handed hammer, much to the delight of his dad, Sonics legend Gary Payton. Cougs had trouble on the glass, too. Payton makes the most of this offensive board with another jam, part of an 18-2 run by the Beavers. Wazoo finally stops the bleeding here with Josh Hawkinson with a baby hook and one. He'd missed the free throw, though. Beavers led by 10 at halftime. Oregon State was up 20 at one point in the second half, and this play pretty much sums up everything. Hawkinson blocked by Drew Eubanks on one end. Bees pushed the ball the other way, and Olaf Schaftenar hits the wide-open triple. Cougars lose for the 15th straight time, their longest losing streak since the 1999-2000 season. They'll visit the Huskies Wednesday to wrap up the regular season. So the WCC now, Gonzaga was in a close one on the road at BYU last night. Kyle Wiltshire led the way with 21 points as the Zags held off BYU every time the Cougars tried to make a run. BYU had every chance in the world to pull it out late, but just couldn't hit. Then Gonzaga sealed it with a huge steal on this inbound pass, 71-68 the final, as Gonzaga finishes co-champs in the WCC for the regular season, but takes the number 2 seed into the conference tournament. They'll face Portland Saturday night. Now we have to show you this ridiculous shot by Seattle U's Brandon Westendorf last night. Tied at 69 in the closing seconds, he nails this fall-away three-pointer as the buzzer sounds, giving the Redhawks a 72-69 win over Utah Valley at Key Arena. Let's take a look one more time. It's at least 5 feet behind the line. Seattle U has one more regular season game left at Cal State Bakersfield. To the NFL now, where we're talking crazy money. All 32 teams will get nearly $12 million more for their salary cap next season. That's great news for the Seahawks, who have several key free agents, including Russell Okung and Jermaine Kearse. The free agent signing period opens up March 9th, 1 p.m. Seattle time. Salary cap is determined off the revenue earned by the league and its teams. Day 3 of the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, defensive linemen and linebackers going through the circuit, and it should be no surprise that some former Husky players made an impression for the second year in a row. A couple of standouts included linebackers Corey Littleton and Travis Feeney. Both were solid in the 60-yard shuttle. Feeney had the third best time at 11.71 seconds, while Littleton finished with the second best time, just 0.06 of a second behind Joe Schobert of Wisconsin. Final day of the Combine is tomorrow with defensive backs. Spring football practices begin next month for colleges, and last night Washington State held its annual Night with Cougar football in downtown Seattle. Former players like first-round pick Deion Buchanan were in attendance, and of course plenty of highlights from the Cougars' Sun Bowl victory were on display. Head coach Mike Leach gave us some insight about his newest recruiting class.
Good class. We were looking for size, looking for speed, got both. In particular, speed on defense, got a bunch of offensive linemen, big guys already, and then really look like they have a promising future.
They wanted to go and have defensive speed. They want to have more speed on the field. So when you look at all the players out there, they're extremely fast.
Washington State's recruiting class ranks second to last in the Pac-12 when you average the 4 major recruiting services. Spring practice starts in Pullman, March 26th. The clock is ticking. The Mariners are just 3 days away from their first game of the spring. The M's play the Padres in an exhibition game Wednesday. Manager Scott Service admits there is a sense of urgency to get some team cohesiveness early on. Big part of that is relying on second baseman Robinson Cano. Robbie struggled in 2015 and played much of the season hurt. Says he's determined to turn things around and put up type of numbers he's had for nearly all of his career.
You know, I get surgery and then, they make you work out right away. So, I mean, it's good to be back healthy, be able to start, from spring training and, like I say, spend time with teammates and, just good to be healthy.
Cano rallied late in the season to finish with a .287 batting average along with 21 homers and 79 RBIs. The majority of major leaguers would love to have those type of numbers. He says he wants to get that batting average up at least another 30 points. Final round of the Honda Classic turned into a 2-man battle between Adam Scott and Sergio Garcia. Scott was able to hold the lead or stay tied thanks to shots like this, 150 yards out from the fairway bunker as he puts it right in front of the pin. That led to a birdie and a 2-shot lead, and Sergio had plenty of opportunities but had to settle for a bogey here on 17. Then on 18 made up for it as he gets this birdie to go, but that bogey would eventually be the difference. Scott just needed to tap in for par on 18 to get the win. It's the first PGA win for the Australian since May of 2014, and since he was forced to move to a shorter putter. We'll swap grass for some asphalt. NASCAR at the Atlanta Motor Speedway now. It's been a tough 2 weeks for Matt Kenseth. He lost the lead at Daytona last week heading into the final turn. Today, Kenseth was running up front only to be penalized for improper fueling, because a crew member refueling his car also used a wrench to make a different adjustment. That's a no-no, as crews can only do one thing at a time. Kenseth finished 19th as Kyle Busch started on the pole, but Jimmy Johnson was able to hold him off after a green-white checkered restart. It's Johnson's 7th career win at Atlanta, ties him for 7th all-time with Dale Earnhardt. Again, the Huskies will wrap up in Eugene soon. We'll have a full recap for you at 11.